भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So, continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 11th chapter, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka, text number 27 onwards. सितात पत्र व्यजनैर उपस्कृतः प्रसून वर्षैरविवर्षितः पथि पिशंगवास वनमालया विभो घनो यथार्को डुपचाप वैद्युतः. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dwarka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White hair fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flower fell upon the road. His yellow garments and the garlands of flower made it appear as if a dark cloud was surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, rainbow, and lightning. The sun, moon, rainbow, and lightning do not appear in the sky simultaneously. So obviously it cannot happen. The sun and moon and rainbow and lightning, everything happening at the same time. When there is sun, the moonlight becomes insignificant, and if there are clouds and a rainbow, there is no manifestation of lightning. The Lord's bodily hue is just like a new monsoon cloud. So I guess you all can watch that monsoon cloud today in the sky in Delhi. It's raining heavily, I heard. So his bodily hue, bodily color is like of a new monsoon cloud. And similarly, Balramji's bodily color is considered as new autumn cloud, the white cloud that we have many times in the sky. He is compared herein to the cloud. The white umbrella over his head is compared to the sun. The movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes is compared to that of moon. The showers of flowers are compared to the stars. His yellow garments are compared to lightning, and the flower garlands on his chest are compared to a rainbow. Because he wears this flower garland, which is called Vajanti Mala. His garland is called Vajanti, and it has, I heard it has 5 colors, not 7 colors. But still, it looked like a rainbow. So, all these activities of the firmament, being impossible simultaneous factors, cannot be adjusted by comparison. The adjustment is possible only when we think of the inconceivable potency of the Lord. The Lord is all powerful, and in His presence, anything impossible can be made possible by His inconceivable energy. But the situation created at the time of His passing on the roads of Dwarka was beautiful and could not be compared to anything besides the description of natural phenomena. So it was so beautiful. Krishna was walking on the road, and the white umbrella was there, white charmer was there, and he was wearing yellow clothes and Vajanti Mala. So flowers are being thrown on him. So that's a real reception of the Lord. Text 28. Pravishtastu griham pitru parishvakta swamatribhi vavande shirisa sapta devaki pramukha muda. After entering the house of his father, he was embraced by the mothers present, and the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. It appears that Vasudev, the father of Lord Krishna, had completely separate residential quarters where he lived with his 18 wives, out of whom Srimati Devaki is a real mother of Lord Krishna. But in spite of all this, all other stepmothers were equally affectionate to him, as will be evident from the following verses. Lord Krishna also did not distinguish his real mother from his stepmothers, and he equally offered his obeisances unto all the wives of Vasudeva present on the occasion. So now Prabhupada talks about 7 mothers in according to scriptures. According to scriptures, there are seven mothers: the real mother, the wife of the spiritual master, the wife of a Brahmin, the wife of the king, the cow, the nurse, and Mother Earth. So all of them are mothers. Even by this injunction of the Shastra, the stepmother, who is the wife of the father, is also as good as a mother, because the father is also one of the spiritual masters. Lord Krishna, the Lord of the universe, plays the part of an ideal son just to teach others how to treat their stepmothers. So, so the love one should have for his mother, it should be same as one should have for a stepmother. But in Kali Yuga, everything is gone upside down. The stepmothers, they don't take care of their sons as much as Krishna's stepmothers were taking care of him. Anyway, Krishna is setting an example for all of us to follow. Text 29. Taha putram ankam aropya snesnutpayodhara harshvihvalat bivlat vilat atmana sishi chur netrajar jalaha. The mothers, after embracing their son, sat him on their laps. Due to pure affection, milk sprang from their breasts. They were overwhelmed with delight, and the tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. So, this is Krishna after coming back from the battle in Dwarka, in Mahabharata. So, he was already about 100 years old at that time. But the mothers are mothers. Mother is still a mother. So look at the mothers, after embracing their son, Krishna, sat him on their laps. So this is the affection of mother for their son, and especially for Krishna. Of course, Krishna was 100 years old, but he didn't look more than 16 years old. And Krishna, even though he looked 16 years old, but he was 100 years old, and in Dwarka he even had grandsons. So he was like a grandfather, but still, the mothers treat him like a little baby. When Lord Krishna was at Vrindavan, even the cows would become moistened by affection towards him. And he would draw milk from the nipples of every affectionate living being. So, what to speak of the stepmothers, who were already as good as his own mother? So, this is the love of even the stepmothers for Krishna. Atha vishat svabhavanam sarvakamam anuttamam prasada yatra patninam sasrani cha shodasha. Thereafter, the Lord entered his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. So, first, Krishna went to see his parents and then went to his wives' palaces. So, another thing to understand, to follow. Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives, and for each and every one of them, there was a fully equipped palace complete with necessary compounds and gardens. Full description of these palaces is given in the 10th canto. All the palaces were made of the best marble stone. They were illuminated by jewels and decorated by curtains and carpets of velvet and silk, nicely bedecked and embroidered with gold lace. So, not with golden lace, with gold lace. The personality of Godhead means one who is full with all power, all energy, all opulences, all beauties, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Therefore, in the palaces of the Lord, there was nothing wanting for fulfilling all desires of the Lord. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited, and the supply is also unlimited. Everything being unlimited, it is concisely described here as Sarva Kamam, or full with all desirable equipment. So, those were the palaces of Krishna in Dwarka. We can just understand how opulent Dwarka must be. And in fact, it said it is Dwarka is more opulent than all the Vaikuntha lokas combined. And of course, Vrindavan is even more opulent. But as I told you the earlier other day, opulence of Vrindavan is hidden. It's covered over by the love, by madhurya, by the sweetness of the relationship. पत्न्यापति प्रोष्य गृहानुपागतं विलोक्य संजात मनोमहोत्सवः उत्तस्थ उत्तस्थुरारत् सहसाशनाशयात् साकं वृतैर्वीडितलोचनाननः. The queens of Lord Shri Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. As mentioned above, the Lord entered his home palaces occupied by 16,108 queens. This means that the Lord at once expanded himself as in as many plenary expansions as there were queens and palaces, and entered in each and every one of them simultaneously and separately. So this is opulence of Krishna. Of course, for Krishna, what's so difficult? He can even expand himself in trillions of forms. There's no problem for him. So this is only 16,000 forms. Here is another manifestation of the feature of his internal potency. He can expand himself in as many forms of spiritual identity as he desires, even though he is one without his second. It is confirmed by the Shruti mantra that the Absolute is one alone, and yet he becomes many as soon as he so desires. These manifold expansions of the Supreme Lord are manifested as plenary and separated portions. The separated portions are representations of his energy, and the plenary portions are manifestations of his personality. So we are the separated portions. We are the Vibhin Ansha, and Krishna's portions, which were entering all the palaces, they were his plenary portions. Means they were his expansions only. That is called Swa Ansha, his own expansion, and we are Vibhin Ansha, the separated expansions. The personality of God had manifested himself in 16,108 plenary expansions and simultaneously entered into each and every of the palaces of the queens. This is called Vaibhav, or the transcendental potency of the Lord. And because he can do so, he is also known as Yogeshwara. So he is known as Yogeshwara because he could expand himself in so many forms. Ordinarily, a yogi or mystic living being is able to expand himself at most to do tenfold expansions of his body. But the Lord can do so to the extent of as many thousands or infinitely as he likes. So that's Krishna. He can do whatever he wants. He can do everything. It's not a problem for him. That's why when Prabhupada comes across any words or anything that suggests, even hints at that a jiva is equal to the Lord, that we are equal to the Lord, or we are gonna become the Lord. We have forgotten that we are Lord, and when we come to the understanding, when we come to the purification that we are Lord, we will become God. That's complete nonsense. We cannot expand ourselves in it more than even one person. And Krishna expanded himself perfectly in 16,108 forms. So that's a Prabhupada. One should know, therefore, that the Lord is never on the level of the living beings, who are but expansions of his marginal potency. And one should never equalize the potent and the potency, although there is very little difference or quality between the potent and the potency. The queens were also expansions of his internal potency, and thus the potent and potencies are perpetually exchanging transcendental pleasures. So, queens of Dwarka, who were they? So, Krishna, Prabhupada is writing, they are the expansions of his internal potency, means Srimati Radharani. The personification of internal potency is Srimati Radharani, or one of the internal potency, which is Heladani Shakti. Pleasure giving potency is Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani, she expands herself in the form of these queens of Dwarka because her only service or her only existence is basically to give pleasure to Krishna. And when Krishna was in Dwarka, she expanded herself in these many queens to because she knew that the queens in Dwarka they will give pleasure to Krishna in a befitting way that he deserves when he is in Dwarka. When he is in Vrindavan, then he gets pleasure in a different way. But when he is in Dwarka, he deserves or he expects pleasure in a different way. So Shrimati Radharani expands herself as all these queens. And then she and then depending upon the mood of all the queens, they give pleasure to Krishna. One should not therefore become astonished to learn that the Lord married so many wives. On the contrary, one should affirm that even if the Lord marries 16,000 million wives, he is not completely manifesting his unlimited and inexhaustible potency. So he can marry as many wives, as many queens as he wants. The Lord is always great in all respects. God is great is eternal truth. So God is great. So that's also what the Muslims say, no? Allahu Akbar. That means God is great. But they don't know how great he is. Or even they don't even have an idea about how great he is because they don't believe in the personal feature of the Lord. They don't believe in the form of the Lord. So they cannot even understand how great he is. And that's why they cannot understand that when we worship a form of the Lord, and like we were discussing yesterday, about the deity worship. So they consider this uh, as idol, as a murti worship, which is wrong according to them, because they say you cannot put a limit on the Lord by putting him in a form like this. So from their standpoint, they're perfectly right, but from our standpoint, the logic is God has a form and he's unlimited at the same time. How can we put a condition on him that he cannot have a form that looks like a limited form? So he has a form and he's unlimited at the same time. That is Krishna. It's hard to understand, yes, but we cannot put a limit that he cannot have this form. Why he cannot have? He's God. He can do anything he wants. He can exhibit himself in any form, any ways, any means he likes. Who are we to stop him? So Prabhupada further writes, therefore, as soon as the queens saw from a distance their husband, who was away from home for long periods due to the battle of Kurukshetra, they all arose from the slumber of meditation and prepared to receive their most beloved. According to Yajnavalkya's religious injunctions, a woman whose husband is away from home should not take part in any social functions, should not decorate her body, should not laugh, should not go to any relative's house in any circumstance. This is the vow of the ladies whose husbands are away from home. Well, these days, ladies wait for the husbands to go away to go to all these parties. So times have changed. At the same time, it's also enjoined that the wife should never present herself before the husband in an unclean state. Means she should always be decorated nicely and dressed nicely. Even that has changed. So let's not comment on that. She must decorate herself with ornaments and good dress and should always be present before the husband in a happy and joyous mood or in a criticizing and complaining mood. Not that. She must decorate herself with ornaments and good dress. So this is another problem because then every day she'll be demanding new ornaments and new dresses. Another problem for husbands. The queens of Lord Krishna were all in meditation, thinking of the Lord's absence, and were always meditating upon him. The Lord's devotees cannot live for a moment without meditating on the Lord. And what to speak of the queens, who were all goddesses of fortune, incarnated as queens in the pastimes of the Lord at Dwarka. They can never be separated from the Lord, either by presence or by trance. The gopis at Vrindavan could not forget the Lord when the Lord was away in the forest cow herding. When the Lord boy Krishna was absent from the village, the gopis at home used to worry about him, traversing the rough ground with his soft lotus feet. By thinking thus, they were sometimes overwhelmed in trance and mortified in the heart. Such is the condition of the pure associates of the Lord. They are always in trance, and so the queens were in trance during the absence of the Lord. Presently, having seen the Lord from a distance, they at once gave up all their engagements, including the vows of women as described above. So this is the one of the characteristics of the devotees. They're always in trance, they're always meditating upon Krishna. And this is the injunction that Rupa Goswami gives us. No? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So this is the uh, duty of all the devotees to come to that level. So that can only happen if we have developed a relationship with Krishna, a loving relationship. So then it's possible. Just like a boyfriend, a girlfriend. If they are in relationship, they cannot think of anybody else. In fact, there is a wonderful story. Once Maharaj Akbar, I think it happened in Jama Masjid, it, that time only. So he went to Jama Masjid, and when Akbar came and he sat down to do his namaz. So when Akbar came, so the whole masjid was vacated and everybody had to be out because Maharaj Akbar was there to do his namaz. And Akbar sat down in meditation. And then all of a sudden, a woman from nowhere, she came and she was running like crazy. Soldiers tried to stop her, but she wouldn't stop. And she ran and ran and banged into Akbar. And then she fell down and then got up and kept running and then just went to the other side of Jama Masjid. Akbar got so angry and he ordered his soldiers, go capture this woman. So they went and they captured the woman, and along with him, they saw one boy also, one man also, at the point where they found this woman. So they brought both of them. Akbar asked, "Who in the world are you? Who were you? What were you thinking when you ran like this and you bumped into me? And I was doing namaz and you disturbed me, and I'm gonna punish you." Woman said, "Well, you are right. You should punish me, but can I ask you a question?" Akbar said, "Sure." Woman said, I was running, and Akbar had asked him, why were you running so fast? You didn't even know what we're doing. She said, I was running to meet my boyfriend, and this is the man I was going to meet. And Akbar got really angry. Just to meet your boyfriend, you disturbed my namaz. When women asked, can I ask you a question? He said, okay. So women asked him, when I bumped into you, you were doing namaz, but I didn't even realize I bumped into you because I was only thinking of my boyfriend. And here you are sitting down, trying to think of the Supreme Lord, trying to do your namaz, trying to do meditation. But you got disturbed just by one bump. So I think you should meditate properly. And when Akbar heard this, he realized his shortcoming in meditation. So this is what the gopis and the queens of Dwarka were doing. They were meditating on Krishna 24 hours. They couldn't think of anybody else. And here, when we are given this service of chanting, and chanting is very, I mean, we are speaking the words. We don't have to sit down silently and then meditate. Here we are speaking, we are chanting. We can speak little louder also. And the idea is to hear the words nicely. That's all. But even that meditation, even that service, we don't perform properly. Why? Because this lady, she was in full love of that person and she was running to meet him. We don't have love for Krishna. We don't have love for his holy name. We don't have love for his pastimes, for the beauty of Krishna. That's why we cannot meditate upon him. We cannot think of him all the time. Although that is our constitutional position, that is our original position. But since we are covered over with so many other upadhis, so many other titles, that original title has really gone down. Original title has really been suppressed. And we have to just bring it forth, bring it forward by chanting. Chanting will remove all these coverings, all these misunderstandings that I am this and I am that. So for that, chanting has to be very proper. Our services have to be very, very properly done, sincerely done, seriously done. So chanting is not just a chore that Prabhupada has given us. It is our lifeline. It is our final lifeline to attain Krishna. So we have to chant properly, and then we have to meditate properly, and then at that point, when we can't think of anybody else except Krishna, that's when he will appear. And that's when we will be qualified to go back. So I'll stop here. See anybody's any question or comment. I guess everybody went into meditation.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So please meditate nicely on the holy name, and that will the real perfection of life. That will bring about the real perfection of life.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Hare
But
Krishna.
one day we are doing trying to do that nicely. Next day it was erratic. Maybe